You know something? It's Thanksgiving Eve. It's Thanksgiving Eve, and there's a lot of things on my mind. We got some basketball to get into. We got some football to get into. Obviously, it's some turkey and stuffing and mac and cheese and all of that stuff to discuss as well. But you know, I got to admit this. I'm in kind of a mellow mood. I mean, I got Luther Vandross, a.k.a. Marcus Spears in the house. I got Teddy Pendergrass, a.k.a. Kendrick Perkins in the house. And hell, I mean, I don't know whether I'm going to be Joe, the Isley brother, Trey Songz. I don't know what I'm going to be. But I will promise you this. You might see me a little mellow today, especially since I got the Black Widow sitting right next to me. By the way, that's a compliment. That ain't an insult. First takes in the house. Let's go.
LeBron James was suspended. Anthony Davis was sick as the Lake Show fell into a 25-point hole at MSG. LA turned it around, but it wasn't enough, y'all. Evan Fournier scoring 26 points, adding 12 of his 14 in the fourth for a 106-110 victory Tuesday night. Julius Randle also put in work. Russell Westbrook's first half performance of just 6 points and 20% shooting from the floor didn't help the cause, but in the second half, Russ put up 25 on nearly 70% shooting. It's cut his turnovers from 5 to 1. AD, how does Russ turn it around like that?
He just clicks. I don't know if he see a matchup he likes or someone that's talking to him on the other team or a fan. I'm not sure. But whatever it is, we just need that entire game, because it helps us. When he's able to attack the basket like he's doing, he's aggressive on the shots. It opens the floor up.
Good morning, everybody. Real quick, I just want to say this, remind everyone, Stephen A. and I will be here tomorrow on Thanksgiving and the day after, so make sure to check us out. All right, Marcus, Kendrick Perkins, good to see you fellas. Stephen A., I'll start with you. Are the Lakers too reliant on LeBron James?
Hell yes. Isn't that obvious? And I got to tell you something right now. I mean, I'm just looking at it. And listen, Kendrick Perkins, don't listen, man. First of all, it's good to see you. Happy holidays, big bro. Don't eat too much tomorrow. Don't eat too much. But here's the deal, man. I mean, look, y'all.
What is wrong with you?
I'm just saying, I'm looking out for my brothers.
It's the one day you eat whatever you want. You don't care.
Molly, do you see how big those two brothers are? And that's just on the split screen. Do you see how big those brothers are?
It's two people. Hey, Molly.
Yeah.
Molly. It's two people on this damn show right now that play pro sports, and he always talking that foolishness when he come on here. It's only two of us that made it to the pros.
Someday he'll learn.
That is absolutely true. Why are you being offended? I'm showing love and looking out for you. I don't want you to catch a heart attack on Friday.
Because Stephen A., listen. It's okay for us to talk about our weight, and yes, I am going to eat a lot. I'm going to have my wife sweet potato pies, and I'm going to have Patty LaBelle sweet potato pies. I'm going to do that. But we can't take insults from smaller people. It just don't sit well with us.
It don't equate. It does not equate.
When you have friends like Stephen A., you don't need enemies.
All right, let me move on and get back to sports by simply dropping this one-liner. I was just looking out because I have every intention of eating myself, okay? Now, let me get back to the basketball game.
Please.
They're depending on LeBron too much. This team is 9-10. They've lost, 5 of their last 6 games? Okay? Like 6 of their last 8 games? If this continues for another week or so, Frank Vogel going to be in trouble. Let me state that for the record on national television. Frank Vogel going to find himself in a world of trouble as the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. I understand LeBron has been out, but just the way that they've looked, defense is your signature. KP, you know this. It's his signature. That's what Frank Vogel made his bones in his business. They're the 28th ranked defense in the National Basketball Association. What the hell is going on with the Lakers? Now, New York stood up like I said they would. Keyshawn, they sat up there and knocked off the Lakers like I said they would. Keyshawn, all right? But I expected them to win. I didn't expect the Knicks to be up 25 points in the second quarter. I didn't expect them to start off the game scoring the first 10 points at Madison Square Garden. I mean, my God, where the hell are the Lakers? I mean, listen, Anthony Davis is a star. Russell Westbrook is a star. As far as I'm concerned, they're 2 future Hall of Famers, 2 top 75 players in the world. We get all of that. Where the hell are you for 60 minutes? I mean, with LeBron out, you got to know it's on you to step up and to show up at the Garden, albeit in the first half, and you ultimately came back in the second half and made a game of it. You tied it up, actually. The bottom line is you're seeing stuff from the Lakers that are simply inexcusable. And the Lakers franchise that I know, the Lakers franchise that we've all known, that's got 17 championships on its resume, they are not going to stand pat with these with two of those three players, and you playing like this. Frank Vogel, I'm telling y'all right now, Frank Vogel better get it together, because knowing the Lakers the way that I do, it would not surprise me at all if Laker Nation raise up, you out there, KP, and they make too much noise and they make a change based on what we're seeing. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable.
Well, here it is, Stephen A. and Swagoo. Look, I believe that the Lakers need to lean on LeBron James even more. I think that's the problem with the Lakers. You know, like those old people used to tell us, well, Stephen A., you're old, so you're probably one of those ones that's telling us that the Lakers have too many Chiefs and not enough Indians. See, when you're trying to compete for a championship, everybody can't be a playmaker. Everybody can't have the ball in their hands to make plays or try to create their own shot. And when you watch the Lakers, they play too much my turn basketball. When you have Malik Monk dribbling the ball up, trying to create his own shot, a guy that's supposed to be a spot-up shooter or a catch 1-2 dribble pull-up shooter, you have a problem. I love Carmelo Anthony. I think he has been phenomenal for the Lakers. But he has to be accountable, because right now they're picking on him on the defensive end. I mean, teams are running pick and rolls to get Carmelo on the switch, and they are going to work on them. So when I look at the Lakers, this is why you don't take for granted a guy like Alex Caruso. This is why you don't take for granted a guy like Caldwell Pope. This is why you don't take for granted a guy like JaVale McGee, because guys that come in and be stars in a role, that's what help you win championships. That's what help you get to the finals. Look at the Phoenix Suns. They have they two guys that they go to, a third option in DeAndre Ayton. You have Chris Paul and Devin Booker, and then they have a whole bunch of role players, young role players at that know their roles. Look, everyone cannot be a chief. They need more Indians. If I'm the Lakers, I rely even more on LeBron James when he gets back, because he's their best decision maker. He's their best floor general.
Go ahead, Swaggo.
See, my issue with it is that this whole move and this whole offseason and bringing in Russ was supposed to create 2 5s that could go. And Perk, I hear what you're saying about LeBron, but the whole gist, the whole idea of bringing in Russell Westbrook, bringing in Carmelo Anthony, was to be able to spell LeBron James. This is what we talked about before the season even started. When they get to a certain point during the season, they need to be clicking, and all of these moves were made in order for the playoff run. But when you're looking at this team right now, and Perk, I like what you're saying, nothing is defined. We all know Russell Westbrook can get a triple-double every night he play basketball. Yeah. But where is the team scheme to the Los Angeles Lakers without LeBron James? Because the plan was to be able to play at a very high level without LeBron having to expel minutes, put a lot of strain on his body. He dealt with injuries. All of these things, to me, is what's so confusing. To your point, Stephen A., with Vogel, the reason why I'm frustrated with what's happening in LA is what I said previously. You're supposed to figure this out, dude. This is what I heard. I heard Legs talk about it. I heard KP talk about it. I heard Big Perk talk about it. I heard you talk about it, Stephen A. Everybody's question was, how is this going to work? How is Russell Westbrook and LeBron James going to be on the floor at the same time, and both of those guys be able to impact the game? Mm-hmm. Well, I've been listening to y'all the basketball aficionados. I thought and was under the impression, as a guy that loves the game and watch it a lot, that the Russell Westbrook coming to LA was supposed to take pressure off of LeBron James to make a deep playoff run. And now, go ahead.
I have an answer. we're going to go back to what KB said about LeBron. But LeBron is responsible for this. And KP knows this to be true about what's about to come out of my mouth. You could have kept Alex Caruso. You could have kept the pieces in place with the squad that you had because you and Anthony Davis weren't healthy last year, but you came back healthy this year. You and I both know, KP, that Russell Westbrook ain't there if LeBron don't want that to happen. LeBron want that to happen. Now Russell Westbrook pushed it. He wanted desperately to depart from Washington, just like he wanted out of Houston. He wanted out of Washington, and he wanted to come back home, and rightfully so. You go out in L.A., Russell Westbrook's doing big things on the business side, by the way. I mean, the guy got a car dealership just running off. I mean, mile off for crying out loud. This brother's making money off the court. Russell Westbrook he's a true role model in that regard. He's doing some big things, but he wanted to be in L.A., and LeBron obviously was somebody who was supportive of that happening. Anthony Davis already basically co-signed it, but LeBron is the one that made that happen. Vogel didn't have much say in that regard. Vogel didn't have much say. That's about Jeannie Buss, and that's about Raul Pelinka, and that's about LeBron James. And so when we look at the trouble that you just pointed to, Swagoo, we got to ultimately come back to LeBron because this is what you wanted at the expense of an Alex Caruso who we saw you hugging and you Instagrammed and tweeted my brother forever. And I'm not saying that LeBron was inauthentic in any way. But the bottom line is the Lakers have that money to offer Caruso if Russell Westbrook's not there. Russell Westbrook's there, so you didn't have that money. And that's why you made the decision that you made.
Well, it's two things that I want to talk about. One, I want to sit up here and say that Stephen A., last year, you took a lot of criticism, and a lot of criticism from me. I came on here arguing with you we debated about Russell Westbrook last year when he had that monster triple-double, and you said that you wasn't impressed. And you said that it wasn't because of the numbers. You know that he could do that. Like right now, I'm seeing what you are talking about. It's not about the triple doubles no more. Now you're in LA. It's different. Can you turn the damn corner and win basketball games? Can you cut down on the turnovers, Russ, and win basketball games? Can you go out there and lead a team, be the ultimate floor general, and win basketball games? I think when you look at Russ and you look at CP3, that's the difference between the two. CP3, he goes out there and he wins basketball games.
Yeah.
Two, real quick. Let me say this, Molly.
Okay, yep.
Let me say this.
Yeah,
you know what's the other problem going on in Los Angeles? Mm-hmm. Those guys are not locked the hell in. It's too many damn commercials. It's too many damn commercials. Everybody got something to do except doing what they need to do between the lines. That could wait till after the season. Yeah. You gonna have all the commercials. You gonna have all the movies. You gonna have all the documentaries waiting on you after the parade. Wait and sacrifice.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Perk with the call to action. Hold more on that in just a minute. Lakers below 500 and 9th in the West.
Only last important comment is this. Yeah. They said that I was old. That's kind of true, Perk, but damn, I do look good to be 54 years old. And I want you to know.
Everything is right in the world.
I believe you two are going to look just as good when you get my age.
That's true.
Just want to say that.
You still fly, old school. Yeah. You still fly. Yeah. You still fly.
AJ, nothing but a number.
Yep.
All right, Perk, we'll talk to you in a minute. Guys, let's go to football. The Packers have a major NFC matchup on Sunday when Green Bay hosts the LA Rams. Unfortunately, Rodgers is still not at full strength, battling that toe injury that forced him to leave Sunday's game at one point. Rodgers, when will you be 100%? Okay. Rodgers hopes to play through the pain and get healthy after the bye. Marcus, are you concerned about this injury?
Yes, I am, because Aaron Rodgers is obviously the most important part to the Green Bay Packers. But from a football context, when you get to the point of playing these top other teams in the NFC and you're trying to make a Super Bowl run, people forget this, okay? And Stephen A. knows this. Aaron Rodgers' mobility can kill you on the football field. He extends plays as well as any other quarterback in the NFL. That is what he does. But he extends to throw, but he absolutely is an athletic quarterback that at times uses his legs to continue possessions and drives going. And not to mention, they just lost Elton Jenkins, one of their best offensive linemen. They plan on getting Bakhtiari back, but you could see an increased amount of pressure on Aaron Rodgers as well. So I'm thinking about all of these things in a line. And you think about 12 being injured. This is an injury, by the way. He's playing through an injury. He's not playing through pain. He's not playing through something that hurts a little bit. It's an injury he's dealing with. So projection-wise, because we're talking about Green Bay in the context of going to the Super Bowl. We're not talking about Green Bay in winning games or having a successful season. And when you think about Aaron Rodgers, when you think about Aaron Jones being out, everything aligning, this team is battling attrition right now from an injury standpoint. But the most catastrophic one is if Aaron Rodgers can't be full Aaron Rodgers with the things that he may lack going down the stretch. So here's the thing for me. Aaron Rodgers can play through this. We've obviously saw him play through it. I don't know if the injury progressively gets worse while he's playing, while he's going down the stretch. But the thing that makes me worry, Molly and S.A., is if Aaron Rodgers gets to these games and he has to be mobile because of pressure and he's not able to do it and make those throws that we're so accustomed to, extend those third down drives, make the run. Stephen A., we was on this show last year, remember? And we were talking about the playoff game. And Aaron Rodgers should have took off. That was the whole conversation. Aaron Rodgers should have ran that ball to the end zone.
Third down, sir, yeah.
These are the type of things that happen when you're trying to win a championship. So I'm a bit nervous about it because if he's hampered physically, that takes away a huge element of who he is as a quarterback.
Hell with that. Call me when it actually happens. As far as I'm concerned, as long as I see him behind center flinging that football, I ain't worried about this damn toe. I'll be damned. If I'm going to sit here on national television and a superstar quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, who is a bad man, make no mistake about it, despite the fact that he got on my damn nerves for lying or being deliberately deceitful about it, all of this stuff with being vaccinated or immunized and stuff like that. He's still a bad brother. I still love him. And here's the bottom line. I'll be damned if I'm going to sit on national television and say, I'm concerned about his toe.
You're offended for Aaron Rodgers.
I understand. Listen. I've had toe injuries. I know you've had toe injuries. Listen. I've had toe injuries. I know you've had toe injuries. I understand that.
We're not talking about a hangnail. Go get a pedicure. No. We're talking about a toe injury.
No. I'm saying if you play sports, at some point in time, you incur a toe injury. Yeah. Trust me on that. The point that I'm trying to make to you is it hurts like hell. You know what? Get over it. You're a basketball player. I feel you on that. A football player on grass, and your primary responsibility is to backpedal and fling that football. I'm not dismissing anything that Swagoo is saying because he knows. He played the game. I get it. I understand it. But you look at it from just a technical, literal perspective. You're not running up and down 94 feet on a hardwood floor. You're not sitting there going back and forth as a tennis player, okay? You're not doing something like that. Hell, you ain't even on skates, all right? You are backpedaling in the pocket on grass, and your primary responsibility is to fling that football. In no way am I saying that the injury is fake. In no way I'm saying that that's not something that could have you injured and a bit hobbled. I'm saying in the end, if you are Aaron Rodgers and you can throw the football, I'm good. And I got the Rams this week, and then I got a bye week. So I got the Rams this week, and then I got a bye week. And where's the Rams game? Oh, that's in L.A. Sunshine, because it's hard in cold weather. We all know how cold weather can affect every part of your body. They ain't going to be at Lambeau Field. He going to be in SoFi. He going to be in SoFi. Put on some thermal socks. Wrap that bad boy around even more. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, put on 2 damn pairs for all I care. And put one of them extra cushions near the toe that hurts. All right? And by the way, when you're backpedaling, all right, just find a way to work around it. But I'll be damned if I'm going to worry about Aaron Rodgers' toe. You give me finger, thumb, shoulder, elbow, something like, his toe, Please. I don't want to hear that. Handle it. I ain't saying it doesn't exist. I'm saying handle it. I ain't worried about it. Handle it. Figure it out. Figure it out. His toe. Please. Please. If I sat up there, Marcus, and I told you, Marcus, if I sat up there and I said to you, yo, man, I injured my wrist or I injured my knee, right? So I can't show up the first take. You know what you'd say? What the hell I got to do with your mouth? You can talk, can't you? Get your behind on the shot.
Marcus,
that's what
you
you
get the
say.
last word.
No.
Marcus, you get the last word with all this foolishness that's happening right now.
You know? That's what he'd say.
You know what? This is spoken like a true blinded fan of a person. Okay, Molly, why wouldn't your boy Stephen A. mention the fact that he got 300-pound linemen coming after him every time he dropped back? If it was just as simple as I'm gonna drop back and fling the football, he'd never be injured. He'd never have a problem. If it was as simple as that, the problem is, and matter of fact, let me say this. You mentioned who they about to play. Do you know Von Miller over there and Aaron Donald over there and Leonard Floyd over there?
Yes.
You think that he's just gonna be able to drop back and fling the football without having to move
can I say
around
this?
at all?
No. What I'm saying, Marcus Spears, is this. When he goes down, because they will put him down, I don't think they're going to target his toe.
Okay, all right.
They're going to target. No, I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about it.
You use your foot. You planned on your foot.
I don't want to hear it.
Does.
I don't want to hear it.
Oh
I'm not worried about
Marcus, we're moving on. Ignore him.
I'm not worried about toe.
According to our analytics, Arizona has the best chance to win the NFC.
Did he have the toe injury when he threw the touchdown pass to Scanlon?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Did he have the touchdown? Did he have the toe injury to do the touchdown?
No one can hear you. Your mic's cut.
Okay.
Yesterday, we said change is coming for the New York Football Giants, and the first domino fell, firing offensive coordinator Jason Garrett after he worked less than 2 years on the job. The move comes as a result of continuing offensive struggles for the Giants. They're 3-7 following their 30-10 loss to Tampa Bay on Monday Night Football. Joe Judge had this to say about the decision to move on from Garrett. Ultimately, I make every decision based on what's best for the team long term. I feel we have to be more productive as an offense. Yeah, obviously. Generally speaking, the offense's job is to score points. I don't believe we're scoring enough points. Marcus, are the New York Giants... Yeah, right. Are the New York Giants a destination franchise?
Yes, they are. Listen, don't let what's been happening to the Giants fool you into believing that that's not a great place to play. I had one of my best friends who I played college football with, Corey Webster, was a star cornerback for the New York Giants when they were making their run. He's still eating off winning a Super Bowl in New York. Do we not see what Michael Strahan is doing after his career? You don't think that the New York Giants have anything to do with that? You don't see Eli on this screen. We talking about Eli going to the Hall of Fame. Eli had a tremendous amount of success. Odell Beckham Jr. still is the man with the catch because it was in New York and it became larger than life. Yes, it's a destination place. Now, when we get into the front office and ownership, obviously that's people's mind and they got to make decisions based on what's best. But from what I've seen in New York, if you get Gettleman out of there, obviously you get rid of Jason Garrett. If a quarterback comes to the New York Giants and has success and takes this team to the playoffs and puts them in position to try to make a run at winning a Super Bowl, you kidding me? Do you know what type of lore hangs with being a New York Giant and winning football games? Stephen A., if you don't believe this, I am terribly disappointed in what you're about to say if you don't understand what I'm talking about. You love to kill the Dallas Cowboys. You love to talk about the Cowboy fans. The New York Giants fans are just as passionate. They are just as ride or die for you if you ball out. They'll forgive you for making mistakes if you have success more than failure. They'll show up at that stadium in -3 degrees. They'll be excited for you when you make a playoff run. I was playing in the league when the New York, unfortunately, when the New York Giants won Super Bowls, I was playing in the league. They beat us to get there at some points of the season. There is no place like it when you're making a run. It's New York. It is New York City. Could you imagine Russell Wilson going to a championship with the New York Giants? Could you imagine getting one of these big free agent quarterbacks that come to New York and put them back on the map and they have success, hell yeah, it's a destination place because your money don't run out when you retire.
That's funny. Now that's hilarious. This brother, you just showed your complete amateur status. You shouldn't even be allowed to talk about the New York Giants anymore. For that last statement right there, when you just sat up there and said, when you just sat up there and said, your money don't run out of New York. Clearly you don't live in New York. Clearly you don't visit New York too often. Because let me tell you,
hey, you know what the hell I'm talking
with these
about.
taxes, I'm here to tell you something right now. People leaving New York for taxes.
Stephen A., you get paid more in New York too. Don't leave that detail out. People also make more money.
Excuse me.
Molly,
you should know about making more money.
Y'all gonna talk to me or y'all gonna let me talk? Y'all gonna talk to me or let me talk?
I'm gonna talk to you because
you ain't making no damn sense.
You know damn well if somebody have success with the New York Giants, they gonna make money until they 70 years old.
May I speak? May I speak?
Go quickly.
May I speak? Go quickly.
Yeah.
Don't rush me. Here's the deal. Here's the deal. First of all, Mr. Texas, no state income tax. You just be quiet about the money being spent. Just shut your mouth. You are amateur in this category, okay? Because you sit pretty in Texas. That's number one. Number two, who's the journalist here? That would happen to be me.
You.
Why does that matter? Because we didn't say. The question isn't, will the Giants be a destination franchise? It says, are they? Are, as in present. There's trash. They're trash, okay? They're not attractive at all. They have made the playoffs one time in the last 11 years. They got a starting quarterback that's got 9 touchdowns and 7 interceptions, 10 damn games into the season. Don't get me started with that. Here's the deal. You got Mara. Their ownership. You've got Tish. They have been married to their way. They hired a senior VP and head of football operations in Dave Gettleman, who absolutely positively needs to go. They play and practice in East Rutherford, New Jersey. All I would ask you to do is this. Drive on the turnpike, past East Rutherford, and make sure your windows are rolled up because of the stench through there. Don't come to me about some destination franchise. You got to do something, which they haven't done in a decade. They could be, but they're not.
Excuse me. Let me know when I can speak.
I'm just saying, he said he went on. Okay. How come I can't go on?
Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
I'm going off. Go ahead, Molly, but I'm about to go off.
Excuse me. Stephen A.
Scared of you?
Excuse me, Stephen A. I have a couple questions for you. What's the #1 market in America?
New York.
Okay, thank you so much. Where did you grow up?
New York.
Okay, did Alicia Keys and Jay-Z write a song about Green Bay, Frank Sinatra?
No.
Or did they write it about where?
Do I get to respond?
No, you're answering my question. I'm interviewing you, you're answering.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes.
They wrote it about New York. Okay.
And where do the Giants play?
Hold on, I'm not done.
Where do they play?
I'm not done yet. New York City.
No, they don't.
I'm not done.
They don't.
Let me finish.
Okay.
New York City has more people than 40 of the 50 states. I grew up an hour outside of New York City, New Haven County. Guess what I am? A Giants fan. That's Connecticut.
That's because Connecticut doesn't have a team.
Be quiet. New Jersey, tri-state area.
Are you being
also
rude?
fans
Why are
of
you
the
being
New
so
York
rude?
Giants.
Why are you
In
being so
all
rude and volatile?
of New York City.
Why?
Stephen A., how can you sit here? How can you sit here and not say that New York is a target? We live here.
Why are you being so volatile towards me right now, Molly?
This is a heritage franchise, and they have great ownership. Mara and Tish are great owners.
And you make people
So you support Molly being volatile towards me? You support her being rude to me?
This is so ignorant. Go root for Pittsburgh.
I'm ignorant now.
Queens.
All right.
Let me continue to ask the question, Molly. Let me continue to ask the question.
Okay.
Were the Milwaukee Bucks a destination place until Giannis showed up?
No.
Were the Cleveland Cavaliers a destination before LeBron James was drafted? Players make the places destinations, Stephen A. You know damn well. You gonna sit on this show and act like when you get star players that place don't become a destination. Now put a star.
That's not what I said.
I just heard you.
That's not what I said.
I just heard.
You're misrepresenting my position.
I'm not letting you off the.
You're misrepresenting my position.
Go ahead.
What I said was, you have Gettleman, you have Tish, you have Mara, who have been, let me finish, who have been married to this situation that has led to the demise of this franchise. Until you get somebody in there who can get those players that you're talking about, they are not a destination franchise.
Stephen A. changes coming.
So they
they
need
already
new
got
ownership.
rid of Jason Garrett. They're going to get rid of Gettleman. They're going to get a new quarterback. These things are
Molly,
going to happen.
wait a second.
hold on.
Wait a second. I heard this man for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
For 3 years, talk about the New York Knicks franchise.
Thank you.
I heard him kill him. I heard
That's
him
right.
kill him. And
They
then
were
Worldwide
trash.
West came in. And
That's
then
right.
they went to a different front office.
Right.
And now you on here
You're
talking
making
about
my
New York
point.
stand up.
You're
No,
making
I'm
my
not.
point.
I'm making
Yes.
the point
Tell me.
that if you get the right players,
No.
you get the right front
That's not the
office.
point you just made. The point you just made, you
Stephen
talked
A,
about
the
you talked
New
about
York
world.
Giants is a
Listen. Now I'm
destination
serious.
franchise,
Listen to me.
man.
Now I'm serious. Listen to me. You talked about Worldwide West. You talked about Leon Rose. You're talking about a new culture, new leadership. Then the players
Right,
follow.
right.
I'm saying that's what the New York Giants need to do so the players will follow. You will not
I'm
do
under the
anything
assumption-
as long as their ownership continues to conduct themselves the way it is. This same person, Molly, Molly Q, said 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, change is coming. We're still waiting because Gettleman is there. He needs to
Stephen
go.
A.,
They need to hire Louis Riddick. They need to hire Louis Riddick.
Stephen A., they are in that
It already
process.
started. The process is happening.
Okay. All right. Well, when it happens, let me know.
Well, you're trying to get everybody
It's
to come
not
to
a
the New York Knicks, but they
destination
can't come to the
franchise.
New York Giants because you don't root for the New York Giants.
Tish and Mara
right.
need to get rid of
We're
Gettleman.
revisiting this.
And they need to get new
There.
management in there.
Same page.
Then come talk to me.
But don't
I
try
agree.
to deter people from
I
coming to New
agree.
York. Okay, everyone's yelling at me. We got to go. Coming up, Jerry Jones spoke Monday in what many called a potential Super Bowl matchup in Kansas City, but just the opposite happened. One of the league's most prolific offenses did not put up one touchdown on a Chiefs defense that has faced much criticism this season. Dallas now dropping 2 of their last 3. They could certainly use their top receiver services, but Amari Cooper was sidelined due to COVID, and because he's unvaccinated, he will miss this Thursday's game as well. Jerry Jones is not having it. Remind me, Jerry, you should check what at the door?
I'm just, again, I said it early. You check me at the door in a football team. That has nothing to do with the issues of masking, not masking, getting vaccinated, not getting vaccinated. And if I have a tone, I shouldn't. It just has nothing to do with it. The facts are it is a we thing when you walk into the locker room. And anybody is being counted on to pull his weight. Everybody expects that.
Big Jerry calling folks out. CeeDee Lamb still must clear concussion protocol to play against the Raiders on Thanksgiving. Our NFL insider, my girl, Kimberly Martin, good to see you. You were hilarious on Get Up this morning. You, Greeny, Ninko, everybody. It was a lot of fun. I will start with the former Cowboy. Is the Jerry criticism of Cooper fair, Marcus?
Yeah, it's fair. And listen, it's fair that Amari Cooper don't want to get a vaccine, but he also has to understand that he is hurting and costing his team in a lot of ways. Jerry is in the business of the Dallas Cowboys winning. So that's why he's right. That's what he's focused on. And most of the players on that football team are vaccinated or haven't dealt with a lot of COVID issues, and they've been available. But the Kansas City Chiefs game, you don't have Amari Cooper, you lose more. You have more of a chance of losing that game without him than with him. And as we get closer, as this season progresses, and we start talking about the Dallas Cowboys, it's going to be all hands on deck. And that's what Jerry Jones is saying. Listen, we've had this conversation about Kyrie. We've had this conversation about Aaron Rodgers. We've had this conversation about every player that has the potential to miss games. That is the reality. But it's also, 2 things can be true. It's also the reality that if you are not vaccinated and you contract COVID, you will cost your team a game based on your importance to how they perform. And I truly believe that if Amari Cooper played in the Kansas City, that the Dallas Cowboys would have had a better chance to win the football game. And when we talking about the NFL and when we talking about sports, we talking about winning and losing. We ain't talking about how you feel, your emotions. We talking about what are you available in order to help us win games. That's the perspective that we're talking about right now. And look, man, this is the reality of where we are right now in society and in sports. But Jerry Jones is a bottom line man. And he understands that the Dallas Cowboys winning equates to success and financial success. And when things are being hampered and taken away from that through his prism, that is being selfish. Now, we can decipher that, and there is an absolute longer conversation about where this conversation should be and where it should go. But Jerry Jones, in this particular case, with Amari Cooper not being available for his football team because he won't get vaccinated, is legit and warranted, because every other team that has unvaccinated players that have a profound impact on how they perform will absolutely cost their team an opportunity to be as good as they can be and potentially win a championship or go deep into the playoffs.
I am shocked that I actually agree with Marcus. As much as I love Marcus, we normally don't see eye to eye. But on the Cowboys,
I say a lot of things that make sense, Kim.
we actually agree. We actually agree on this because Jerry's right. At the end of the day, the reality is unvaccinated players can potentially cost guys money because each game you lose really could affect your career. Like, this is a Cowboys team where we talk about the expectations are so high for this Cowboys team. It's not about winning the NFC East. It's not about just getting to the playoffs. It's about this team potentially winning a Super Bowl. So to Marcus's point about we need all hands on deck, like that's every week, I've said on this program before, is a referendum on the state of the star. So for them not to have certain guys. Now, Jerry, I don't want to make it sound like Jerry is mad at Amari Cooper, because when you talk to Cowboys people, they'll say, Jerry, if you listen to that whole interview, Jerry talked about how Amari is a very thoughtful person. He's a very smart young man. He obviously feels a certain way and he's entitled to his opinion. However, Jerry's overarching point was, this is a we thing. You might not want to get the vaccine, except you not getting it then puts the rest of the team at, look at the Jets. I mean, they traded a pick for Joe Flacco only for him to be a close contact and unavailable. Like, this is the state of the NFL, and with a team that has so much at stake like the Cowboys. Now, I will say, in fairness to Amari, people brought up the fact that he's missing 2 games. It's 2 games in a 4-day span. Even if he were vaccinated, this is the worst possible time for Amari Cooper to catch COVID. There's no good time, but really, with the way their schedule is set up, 2 games in 4 days, it'd be tough for any player, vaccinated or not, to suit up for both. But every time, he can stand firm in his beliefs, but every time you're unavailable, you can affect your bottom line. And with so much at stake for these Cowboys, that's a big issue.
Real quick, Marcus, you want to say something real quick before I chime in?
One thing, because I want to point out something that Kim brought up, S.A. Jerry Jones is mad at Amari Cooper. Don't get it twisted, Kim. I spent 8 years in that franchise. I guarantee you he is pissed off about Amari Cooper not being able to play. That's all I wanted to say, S.A.
Okay.
He can be nice and structure it a certain way. Mm-hmm. He is very upset that Amari Cooper is not available.
But yes, okay, that's fair. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take this a step further. Ooh. And I'm going to remind everybody, Colin Kaepernick's situation had nothing to do with a vaccine. Absolutely nothing. But when people wanted to take a knee for the national anthem, Swagoo, you're a former member of the Dallas Cowboys. Kimberly, you've done an exceptional job covering the NFL for decades. You know where I'm about to go. Tell me if I'm wrong. My sources tell me that Jerry Jones called the meeting at that particular moment in time with the team, and he said, this is not about football. This is a business meeting. I want you to understand that there are people here in Texas that patronize our brand and our product. Mm-hmm. And by offending them, you threaten the bottom line. And by threatening my bottom line, you also threaten yours. Is there anything inaccurate that I just said, Kimberly or Marcus Spears? Anything? Did that not happen?
Not at all.
It happened, correct?
Absolutely did. Yep.
Now we fast forward. That was about the national anthem and taking a knee. Wasn't about injuries, wasn't about availability, it was about his bottom line. Nothing affects your bottom line more than a player's unavailability. Amari Cooper in March of 2020 signed a 5-year, $100 million deal. $10 million signing bonus up front, $60 million guaranteed. And you had to miss a game because you weren't vaccinated? Now understand, you could be vaccinated and still capture the vaccine, which is an argument a lot of anti-vaxxers make. And we understand that. I'm not talking about literally. I'm talking about in the crevices of the mind of Jerry Jones, who cut you that check. In his mind, if you vaccinated, it at least minimizes the chances of you capturing the virus to some degree. So in his mind, had you taken the vaccine, you would have been available. And because you didn't take that vaccine, you weren't. And I'm paying you $21 million a year. See, a lot of people out there, a lot of times you got, especially black folks, Molly, you got to, and Swagoo and Kimberly could talk about that. You know, I'm saying such a thing, so I'm selling out. Damn it, I'm looking out. I'm not talking to you about the way things should be. I'm telling you what it is.
You about how they are.
This white, male, billionaire individual who cut you a check for $60 million in guarantees, over $100 million in salary to play football, has to go on a radio program to say, it's about we. Who did he have as his support, y'all? Michael Irvin, at the beginning of the season, before a game was played, on local radio, said, quote, it ain't about left wing, it ain't about right wing, it's about the ring. Couple all of that with the fact that Jerry Jones is 77, 78, having conversations about his mortality, wondering how much time is truly left for him, and you don't make a game because you subjected or exposed to the Rona?
Yeah, two games. Stephen A.
This is the problem.
Stephen A. Really strong. Fellas, let's drop the mic there. We'll get into this a little more later. Kimberly back with us in just a bit. A few more things we got to get to. Still, so much more coming at you in the second hour of First Take. Stephen A. very disrespectfully came at my New York Football Giants. So now I'm bringing reinforcements. Kimberly Martin joins the debate if the New York Giants are a destination franchise. You all know the answer. Plus, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick have both been to the Super Bowl many times, but who has a better shot to reach the Super Bowl? We get into that, but first, we head to the association. The Lakers are now below 500 and ninth in the West after falling to Stephen A's Knicks without LeBron James, who was suspended after his altercation with Isaiah Stewart yesterday on this show. Stephen A. raised some eyebrows when he said LeBron is not feared like MJ or Kobe. Listen to yourself.
LeBron James is too phenomenal and too great not to be incredibly respected. But in my estimation, from the people that I've spoken to covering the league, he's never been feared. A lot of times when we think about MJ, for example, and obviously he's the one person that draws those comparisons, what ultimately comes up short is the level of fear that was instilled in you. You didn't mess with MJ. You didn't come at MJ like that.
Okay. Big Perk is back here with us. JJ Redick was with us yesterday. He was not having it. Kendrick, do you agree with Stephen A. that LeBron is not feared in the same way that Michael Jordan was?
Molly, look, I know Thanksgiving is tomorrow, and I was looking forward to eating my fried turkey, but I'm going to start it off early today. Yeah, I'm going to start it off early today and fry my own turkey. And and that turkey name is Stephen A. Smith. Because, look, let me say this, all right? Let me say this, Stephen A.
Disrespect, man.
You was tripping yesterday. And it's okay. We all have those moments. But when we talk about, people being feared, no, you're right. No one feared LeBron James. No one feared LeBron James. Not the Boston Celtics, not the Dallas Mavericks, Not nobody. Nobody feared Michael Jordan. Not Isaiah Thomas and the Bad Boys Pistons. Not Danny Ainge and the Phoenix Suns. Not Karl Malone them in the Utah Jazz. Not your New York Knicks with Patrick Ewing them, who was hard fouling him and getting all up in his face and wanted to fight him. Not Charles Oakley, who he had to go get to come join him on the Chicago team. Now, I will say this to you. When we talk about players, and we got to go back into the history of things. Before guys got to the NBA, every guy, including every guy from the 15th man on the roster, used to be that dude. And whether it was in high school or college, that's why they got to this point. And I say that because you don't have fear when you're that dude, because trying to get to the NBA, you got to go against certain competition. You can't have fear. You got to beat the man in order to get to that level. Now, when you get to that level, yes, your role changed, but nobody is fearing nobody. And that includes Michael Jordan, that includes Kobe Bryant, God rest his soul, and that definitely includes LeBron James. But you still have to deal with the problems that they go cause when they get between those basketball lines. So when I look at the word fear, nobody is feared in the NBA and nobody was feared in the past, okay?
Well, first of all, a couple of things. Number one, and I'm being very, very serious here because I understand it's a delicate subject when you talk about something like that. I would tell you that I'm always going to defer to players. You played, I didn't. J.J. Redick played, I didn't. Okay, so because of that, being in the NBA and having LeBron James as an opponent, I will openly confess, in all likelihood, you know more than I do. What I'm telling you is in all my years, 25 plus years covering the sport, that's not the impression we were given. And I need a correction, a modification rather, because when I was talking about Michael Jordan, I'm talking about Michael Jordan in the 90s. I'm not talking about Michael Jordan in the 80s that had to go up against the Boston Celtics and ultimately the Bad Boy Pistons. That's not who I'm talking about, because certainly there was no fear there whatsoever. They owned Michael Jordan's teams, for crying out loud. Michael Jordan became Michael Jordan because of what they put him through, which is something that he would openly admit to anybody. The Bill Cartwrights of the world and others would openly admit those things as well. But once Jordan had officially taken over the mantle, and once he had announced to the world there was a new sheriff in town, once he started winning those championships, there was a different aura that came along with him. You brought up Charles Oakley. When Charles Oakley first came into the league, he was with the Chicago Bulls. They actually moved Charles Oakley out of there to get Bill Cartwright and a few others up in there. Okay, and they had a bunch of big-sized individuals in the middle for the Chicago Bulls, and obviously Oakley went to the Knicks and was the enforcer that protected Patrick Ewing from some nonsense. But when it came to MJ, in the 90s, there was just a level of fear, from what I was told, that he had instilled in opponents where you saw cats getting in his face, coming at folks and stuff like that. They wouldn't think about doing that with Jordan. I know a couple of times we saw Reggie Miller go at him. I know we saw Xavier McDaniel go nose to nose with him on the basketball court. But when you look at teammates, for example, some of the things that happened the first go around with LeBron in Cleveland, with his teammates, other places that he went, the way that Kyrie Irving ultimately wanted to depart. The kind of things that we see Scottie Pippen doing now, nobody ever thought of doing then to Jordan. Because as he said, as folks admitted on The Last Dance, he was scary as hell. It wasn't just him as a basketball player, him being the individual that he was. What he would challenge you to do, what he held you accountable for, the manner in which he held you accountable was a bit different than LeBron, because LeBron was far more interested in being affable and friendly and personable than Jordan ever was. And I thought that Jordan articulated and explained it thoroughly in The Last Dance, because we had often wondered, because of so many stories that we had heard. We don't have time to get into it, but if you look at some of the elements and increments that you peel from The Last Dance, where he admitted how he was and why he was that way, and then you see Will Perdue and others speaking, B.J. Armstrong and others speaking to the level of intimidation that Jordan had basically implemented to teammates and opponents. That's where the difference that I'm talking about. that's something that LeBron hasn't had, that level of fear that he instilled in other people. That's all I was talking about. I certainly wasn't trying to imply that LeBron James wasn't as respected on the basketball court because of his greatness, because I know better. Go, Swaggle.
Go ahead, Perk.
Well, Stephen.
Either way.
Well, Stephen A. Hold on. Let me say this real quick.
Sure.
So when I look at the two, right, and I look at their personalities right now, and you look at Michael Jordan, Jordan didn't fool with people, right? Outside of basketball, he had a select group. He didn't fool with people.
Neither did Kobe.
Embrace people.
Neither did Kobe for the earlier part.
Right. Okay. Neither did Kobe. But LeBron James is different, and let me tell you why he's different. He's embracing people for the simple fact that he's showing people he's embracing the younger generation, guys that's younger than him, because he's the guy that has already accomplished reaching $1 billion while playing the game of basketball. So all of a sudden, LeBron James has took it to new heights. And he's taking guys under his. The reason he's so friendly, Stephen A., is because he's taking people under his wing to show them how to.
I'm saying that would explain. No, I understand that, but I'm saying that would explain why I said what I said. I'm not disagreeing with you. It just could be a personality issue. I'm simply saying that explains why with LeBron, it was mad respect, but with Jordan, it was fear because he was coming for you even if you were his teammate. Remember I told that story, Swagoo, years ago. He was in the elevator with Scottie Pippen. They had a playoff game with Scottie Pippen, clapping to his teammates, and he's like, come on, y'all, it's important tonight. Bring your A game. And Michael Jordan said, bring your A game. He said, MFers, bring A game. How about that? Bring A game. How about that? Yeah. That was Jordan. That's all I'm saying. Go ahead.
I mean, LeBron is in the mindset of
different personality.
Listen. I'm gonna put others on. And MJ wasn't on that mindset where he's not going to put others on. See, LeBron James is going to put his brothers in the same opportunities, walk his brothers through the same doors to have an opportunity to make the same type of money as he's making. MJ wasn't doing that. That's MJ personal thing. If he wanted, that's how he carried himself, that's on him. But what I'm saying is LeBron James embraces saying, you know what? Let me bring others into this and let them get some of this lettuce. You didn't get that from Jordan.
Okay. Go ahead,
yeah, to me, that's the difference. The difference is how you lead. I'd have made a lot of jokes about Matthew Dellavedova getting $50 million because he played with LeBron James. That's the way LeBron James has done his career for the majority of the time. Listen, you can make an argument that Jordan was more concerned about his personal vendettas and accolades than he was about the guys around him. I think that's a legit argument. I don't think that's a slight. I think that's the way he knew how to function and maneuver. And during the time he was in the NBA and coming up as a youngin in the NBA, it was Magic and Larry and all of those guys' league. So he felt like he needed to be that particular way in order to take the mantle and take the throne by going full boat into the room and fighting everybody and squaring up. LeBron on the other end said, I know who I am. I know what I've accomplished. I know what I can accomplish. I've been deemed the king of basketball since high school. And to Perk's point, I'm gonna put everybody else on. I think the argument becomes which was the most productive way. You can win with both of them. And that's why I like the whole argument, the whole conversation about Michael Jordan and LeBron James and how they led and Kobe Bryant. I remember Kobe telling the Lakers, if we don't get people here, I'm out. Like, they do it a different way. But when it comes to throwing the word fear around and when you fling in fear, I'm with Perk, man. Like, I played in the NFL. I never stepped on that field saying I'm scared of a dude or I'm worried about what he gonna do to me. That's just not the way you thinking when you on that level of competition. But you do have guys that operate in a different way. Like, I'm sure LT led in a different way than Reggie White in the NFL. And that's the difference between when we having a conversation. We've been through this before, y'all. We talked about how NBA players hang out with each other now. They friends in the offseason, as opposed to the Last Dance when Jordan said, I'll find something about a guy's life or background that'll make me want to kill him on the basketball court. There's a difference in how you do it. Either you like Jordan's approach or you like LeBron's approach. We happen to like LeBron's approach because me and Perk is more included in the generation of seeing LeBron do it the way he's doing it. But that don't mean MJ wasn't as effective or he didn't get as much out of his teammates and the guys around. I think it's a great argument or debate or conversation. Sure. Both of these guys have led in a magnificent way, just doing it differently.
For sure. And Marcus, you broke that down very well. Hey, Big Perk. Happy Thanksgiving. All the blessings to you and yours.
Same,
we will talk to you soon.
All right, little big bro.
Fried turkey.
All of it. Get all the calories up in there.
She would tell you that. Go ahead.
I love to eat. Never skip a meal. You better believe it. Still to come, New York, stand up. Kimberly Martin will join us to debate if the Giants, the New York Giants, are still a destination franchise into New York sports. She's also a Brooklyn native. So, Kimberly, I will ask you this, your perspective here. Are the New York Giants, you love your city, right?
I do. My chain actually says Brooklyn. So, yes, I put on for my city.
Objection, leading the witness.
We don't want to hear it, Queen.
Ask the question, Molly. Leading the witness. Ask the question. I'm a Law and Order fanatic. The one with Sam Waterston, by the way. I'm a Law and Order fanatic. Season 3 to season 20. I know it. Objection, leading the witness. Just ask the question.
That's such a Queen's thing to do, to try to take the spotlight from somebody.
No, I'm trying to give it. I
understand.
She's trying to soften you up. No,
I get it.
Ask the question.
She's gonna butter me up anyway, so it's fine.
So she's a Brooklyn native.
I am.
She reps for her city. She's got on the Brooklyn chain. So Kimberly, obviously the New York Football Giants are a destination franchise. Like if you are an Aaron Rodgers, you're a Russell Wilson, you should want to come to the Mecca where you grew up, concrete jungle where dreams are made of. Look at you. You're the American dream.
I am the American dream. But I would not want to come to the Giants. I mean, like if I'm Aaron Rodgers, like I would want to come to Brooklyn to visit, like and sightsee. But not the way that. But that speaks to how badly they have regressed. I mean, New York all the way. However, I mean,
can I leave?
Yes, you can.
And we love Molly. We love us some Molly. But we have to be honest about the state of the Giants. We really do. Because, I'm a former Jets beat writer. The Jets take so much heat, but really.
Yeah, we're not the Jets. Don't put us in the same sentence as the Jets.
Yes,
heritage franchise.
Over the last decade, what's the difference?
So here's the thing, Molly. The last time I was there, the last time the Giants won a Super Bowl. I was a general assignment reporter. Since then, I've been a columnist. I found my way on TV, and they can't find some wins. Like that's the reality.
Everybody has progressed and moved forward with the Giants.
That was actually fun. I didn't mean to laugh. Marcus, get in here. Come on, control them, please.
And by the way, when Marcus is the producers, when Marcus is laughing that loud, put him on camera. Well, go ahead.
Marcus, I love that shirt, by the way, and I'm not trying to butter you up. I meant to say that earlier.
Oh, she's buttering. She's slathering you up like a turkey.
I thought this was a good touch for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's a good holiday shirt.
Yes, it is. It is a destination place to go play. If it was going like S.A. and Kim talking about, no franchise would ever recover. Nobody would ever come from bad to good if they didn't think that. I'm talking about New York Giant football. I'm talking about the history of this franchise. And you are a few players away. Kimberly knows this. You're a few players away from changing the entire perception of your football team. We just watched Cleveland last year win 11 games. You think that was a destination place? They were able to go out and get free agents. They got guys to come from other places because they were able to build in what they were doing. I think the process has started in order to change the franchise, the front office, in order to get people in there that can do a job at a high level. And let's say you said one thing when we were talking about this earlier that I absolutely agree with you on. Louis Riddick would go to New York and change everything about their franchise. If they just decided that they wanted somebody to come in there and really put that thing together, he would absolutely do it. But the bottom line is, when I look at the New York Giants and I think about when I played pro football from 2005 to 2013, the New York Giants were a destination place before they got good. They drafted Eli Manning. They went out and acquired free agents, and they became a really good football team. And that was the place a lot of guys looked at and wanted to emulate how they were doing things. They still that place. A lot of franchises fall into the I played in Dallas. A lot of places have a bad run, but it's still a destination place.
Historically, the Giants do have that mystique. It's like the Giants, the Steelers, like those
Packers, Cowboys.
The issue is for the Giants is the fact that they are still living off of the Super Bowls from the Super Bowl from a decade ago.
Yes. Well,
a decade.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Can I take it a step further?
You may.
Is George Young there?
No.
No.
Mm-mm.
Ernie Accorsi there?
Mm-mm.
No. Jerry Reese there?
No.
No.
Tom Coughlin is not there either.
Between them, 4 Super Bowls, 5 NFC championships. They brought in Gettleman. It's not that they hired Gettleman. You know what the problem is? The Giants would have never tolerated this level of ineptitude from anybody before Gettleman. But Gettleman, year after year after year after year, comes up short, and he gets to keep his job and be an integral part of the decision making. You cannot be a destination franchise when your organization takes an Odell Beckham Jr., who at the time was a star. Let's dissect and analyze for a second here. Prima donnish, okay. A little bit temperamental, fine. Was he ever accused of not showing up to work? No. Was he ever accused of not working hard? No. Was he ever accused of not being a talent? No. Was he ever arrested or in trouble with the law? No. And they still said, not our kind of guy. Well, what is your kind of guy? They're football players. Who the hell told you they had to be your kind of guy? Lawrence Taylor, not that I'm comparing OBJ to Lawrence Taylor. No. Please don't get me wrong. But Lawrence Taylor wasn't their kind of guy. I'm saying once upon a time, the Giants had their priorities in order. They knew what it took to win. They were willing to modify their thinking to some degree. They trusted the leadership, the Bill Parcells of the world and others, okay, the Phil Simms, the Jeff Hostettlers of the world. Players, police yourself along with the coaching staff and the general manager. We're the owners, we're good. They didn't concern themselves about PR and back pages and headlines. They sat up there and said, we're trying to win. Mm-hmm. We're trying to win. They don't do that anymore, and they haven't been doing that. And part of the reason...
They just got rid of Garrett. They're going to get rid of Garrett.
Well, the problem is they've had the coaches since Tomlin. They brought in Ben McAdoo.
Right.
Yeah.
Then Pat Shermer. Now Joe Judge. They are moving backwards.
Let's also remember this. I'm tired of Molly saying, well, they just did it. Listen, they've been to the playoffs one time. They've been to the playoffs. I know they won a Super Bowl in 2011. Mm-hmm. Prior to that, they were in the playoffs like 2008.
Yeah, they won.
Ladies and gentlemen, the year they won the Super Bowl is the only time they've been in the playoffs since 2008. Okay. And these people are talking about, well, it's our way of doing things. What are you talking about? That's why I'm saying you have to change that.
They already fired their OC. They're going to get rid of Gettleman. They're going to bring in a new quarterback.
All right, and I'm saying call us when they do.
Don't get mad about OBJ. The real issue is we keep talking about this O-line for 20. When are we going to fix the O-line? It's not even fair to Jerry Jones.
Fix it. That's the problem. They keep trying to fix the O-line. That's the one thing that we still don't see fixed. Like the issues that are plaguing the Giants go beyond just Jason Garrett, the OC. Marcus brought up the Browns, and Marcus brought up the Browns, and that wasn't a destination place. Well, because they had the number 1 pick and they got Baylor, and you know what I mean? Like they got Baker, they played well, they got a confident head coach. What?
Slight correction. I looked it up. They won the Super Bowl in 2007. They went to the divisional playoff game the next year, 2008. Mm-hmm. Okay, since then they won a Super Bowl in the 2011. And they lost the wild card game in 2016.
The Packers.
Those are the only 2 playoff appearances they've had since 2008. Period.
Okay.
Getting back to Marcus. You mentioned Cleveland. Here's the problem. Like, look at that roster. Look at the people that are running that organization. Like, we don't know. When you look at the Giants, and this is not to knock Daniel Jones, but you don't know what you have in Daniel Jones. And what year is this?
And now they lead it on Freddie Kitchens to find out.
Well,
Kim,
what?
Kim, SA, Molly. Mm-hmm. Molly, It's about to be a monumental moment,
Oh boy, here
and
we
I
He agreed.
apologize in
He agreed.
advance.
Yeah,
Stephen
he
A.
said, come to
He agrees with
yes,
Stephen
come
A.
to the light. Come to the
I
light. It's
agree.
fine. Yeah, man.
I agree.
You all are wrong. You all are wrong.
I agree.
See how
lying.
she get?
No, we
See how
just
she get?
no. We have to beef up the O-line. We don't even know. We
points-
can't cast away Joe Judge yet. We don't even know what he can do. Get a couple more players on the O-line.
The points I
potentially
made
get a new
about-
quarterback. It's still the Mecca. It's still New York
Wanna
City.
change the equipment manager
it's
too?
still tri-state
Molly,
area.
Molly, there's nothing. I still 100% agree with you about the lore and the things that happen in New York.
Yeah.
But the people make the franchise, and right now they don't have the people.
And by the way, Swagoo,
Okay.
let me drop the mic on this discussion right here. Swagoo, listen.
God,
Let me
dog.
drop the mic on this discussion right here. Weeks ago,
Oh boy.
Molly told us
Oh boy.
she was going to a UConn-Purdue game. When I simply asked why, and you
Why?
started laughing. Do you remember how she jumped out of her chair and attacked us?
See,
Now,
the way
if
you
she's
do
that
Molly
way
on the
about
show, not
UConn football, could you imagine how she is about her Giants? She's gone, Kim.
Molly's
She's
Molly is not happy
gone.
with you.
And that's just the way it is, and we understand. We don't want to get Molly upset.
I hate it.
Okay?
I'm just
You understand?
so, this is the
This
last
is what
thing I
it
want to say.
is.
I am so
I hate it.
disappointed in you, Stephen A.
Yes,
how
Stephen
you've
A.
used your
Let me say
platform
this.
today to not recruit
It's
for
a
your
great
city.
place.
You would recruit for the Knicks,
It's
but
a
not for the
great
New York
place to
Football
play.
Giants. And it just shows
It's
your
a great place
suspect
to play.
character, and I'm very disappointed.
Suspect character.
It's a great
Carmen,
place
you
to
heard
play.
that too. Okay. Suspect
Hi,
character. Suspect
Carmen.
character. Because I'm Linda, you heard her, my sister Linda, this sister who's a
child.
big time Giants fan.
Molly is
All right,
fed
Molly
up,
agrees
yo.
with you.
Fed
But
up.
even with the Giants, they ain't more important than their little brother.
Of course, blood
I ain't got
thicker
nothing to
than
worry about in
water.
that regard.
I don't blame them.
It's all right. It's all right.
All right.
Molly got to walk outside. Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson, you can't be helped now. I mean, you got to walk
Leave it
outside.
there. All right,
Sisters
guys.
might get her. You all right?
They was together.
Like, she in trouble, Swagoo. Where I was in trouble with you with your wife.
Oh my
She in trouble.
goodness. Strong take by Stephen A. Marcus. Obviously, the Colts smashed them. With that being said, is Josh Allen the quarterback under the most pressure?
Absolutely. Yes, he is. I mean, look, Stephen A. just said it, but when you're talking about a guy having $250 million in contract and everything is, look, not Josh Allen's fault, but everything is on him right now from an offensive standpoint with the Buffalo Bills if they're going to do anything. And he had a bad outing against the Indianapolis Colts, which I don't think was all him. Brian Daboll, the offensive coordinator, had a lot to do with that as well, with becoming one-dimensional and deciding I don't want to do anything but throw the football every time we have it on offense. The second thing is this. Last year, we had Josh Allen in the MVP conversation. We have never seen an ascension like this from a quarterback. Buffalo Bills fans came into the season. We thought they were the clear-cut favorites in the AFC to go back to the championship game and potentially make it to a Super Bowl. All of that was based on how the quarterback played. I don't know if anybody is new to football, but Josh Allen's ascension is the reason why we thought the Buffalo Bills would be the best team in the AFC this year. So with all of that being said, and we come off a game where the Indianapolis coach with Carson Wentz, not his fault, not Josh Allen's fault that his defense could not stop the run and get out physical, but he still wasn't able to manufacture the offense that was supposed to be manufactured. And then the same people get on here and say, well, Dak Prescott was terrible against the Kansas City Chiefs. Josh Allen was terrible against the Indianapolis Colts. And he's worth $250 million. And he's the reason why his team was put in this position and supposedly supposed to be the team that we thought would go to the Super Bowl out of the AFC this year. So, yes, he has the most pressure. It's not even close.
I respectfully disagree, but I emphasize the word
Why?
respectfully. I emphasize the word, I'm being serious here. I emphasize the word respectfully because I want you to think about something. I'm going to say this, Marcus Spears, and I'm going to challenge you on your take, but I'm going to defer to you. But I'm going to defer to you after I say what I say. Lamar Jackson, to me, is the guy with the pressure. As you just articulated, Josh Allen got his bag. He got $250 million. Lock, stock, and barrel. $258 million. 6 years. 25 years of age. And by the way, he also has something else that Lamar Jackson doesn't have. Already a berth to the AFC Championship game. And how did he get there? He beat the Indianapolis Colts last year. And then after that, he beat Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. And so when I look at it from that perspective, I'm sensitive to the fact that we got a Baltimore Ravens team that can't stop the pass. I'm sensitive to the fact that from a weapons perspective on the offensive side of the ball, they go essentially where Lamar Jackson takes them because he's asked to carry a load that virtually no one else in the National Football League is asked to carry. But what I'm going to do is challenge you as it pertains to what you know about the NFL culture above the head of the players. All of them brothers, you know who they love more than Lamar Jackson? You know who they love more than Dak Prescott? You know who they love more than Patrick Mahomes? And of course, who they love more than Swagoo? You know who they love, Swagoo? More than all of y'all?
They check.
Janet Jackson. What have you done for me lately? You understand what I'm saying? That's who the hell they love. Because when negotiation time comes, no matter how great and phenomenal that dude is, what they're going to look for is any nugget of excuse to hold against him to justify not giving him the money we all believe Lamar Jackson richly deserves. Josh Allen's got his bag. Lamar Jackson is scheduled to get his. I can't imagine anything that'll get in the way of it, but this is the NFL instead of the NBA. So I ask you, what do you think about all of that I just said?
S.A., I understand what you're saying, but it ain't no way. Lamar Jackson going to get crazy money. He ain't worried about his contract. The Baltimore Ravens ain't going to go out and find nobody better than Lamar Jackson in the way the Saints structure. And at the end of the season, when if Lamar Jackson don't go deep into the playoffs, we all going to sit here and say his whole team was injured. That's what we going to say. What we going to say about Josh Allen is that they gave you the money. You got the same team with the same type of guys that you had last year, and you could not get it done. It's more pressure on Josh Allen, bro.
That's fair. And Stephen A. co-signs that. All Tom Brady and Bill Belichick do is win. But which one of them is Stephen A. more confident in to make the Super Bowl this season? Stick around for that. Coming off the win on Monday night, the Bucs currently have a 25% chance to reach the Super Bowl, according to FBI. Best in the NFC, behind only Arizona. Meanwhile, his former team, the Patriots, have a 17% chance to make the big dance, second only in the AFC to the Bills. Marcus Spears. Who do you have more confidence in, Bill or Brady, to return to the Super Bowl this season?
Tom Brady. And it's because Tampa Bay won. We saw him do it. I think this team look, we've had this argument about Bill Belichick and Tom Brady for years about who's more responsible. The players are. They have to execute. I'm not saying coaching is not important. It's paramount to what you need to do in your ability to put a team together and coach them to have success. But the execution is what wins the game. The being able to go out and actually perform those things. And we've seen Tom Brady do it time and time again. I'm not going to bet on a rookie quarterback in Mac Jones being ready for the moment like I would bet on Tom Brady being for the moment if they get to that point. Well, look, the Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, players on the field coaching thing always comes up when we have this confident conversation about who's more responsible. Who's the guy that we should think about when we think about the Super Bowls and the championships? It's the players, y'all. It's always going to be the players. When we talk about championships with the Bulls, we know Phil Jackson was the coach and he's a great coach, but we talk about Michael Jordan. When we talk about championships in LA with the Lakers, we talk about Magic Johnson. We don't talk about the coaches. We talk about Kobe Bryant. We don't talk about the coaches. It's going to be Tom Brady. So who am I more confident in? I'm confident in the person that's going to actually be trying to execute the things in order for you to win the football game. Coach can put me in a great position. If I suck, we ain't winning a damn thing.
Well, I'm not arguing with you about that philosophy and that overall general approach, because on that, I don't think it can be argued. I think your points are beyond sound. But I'm still going to respectfully disagree, and here's the reason why. Because I'm looking at the AFC, and I'm anticipating by default the road to the Super Bowl would be easier through the AFC than the NFC. Now, that doesn't mean that ultimately New England will get there and the Bucks will not. It doesn't mean that Bill Belichick's ultimately going to get there and Tom Brady was not. I'm saying that as we purview the landscape right now in the National Football League, well, let's count the ways, Marcus. Okay, we got to look at Patrick Mahomes. Now, the defense for Kansas City has stepped up because they were trash earlier on in the season, and Spagnuolo and those boys have essentially corrected their ways, it appears, at least to some degree, and we got to give them props for that. Fair enough. But their offense is still, or at least it didn't appear to be the juggernaut that we expected it to be with Kelsey, with Tyreek Hill, with Pringle and those boys. There have been several times this year, including a blowout loss to Tennessee, where they ultimately have been exposed to some degree. And obviously, when they won against Dallas last week, they only scored 19 points. And so we got to pay attention to that. Now let's go a bit further. Ain't nobody believing in Ryan Tannehill when it comes to Bill Belichick. And then when you take into account the other quarterbacks, you can give me Baker Mayfield or a Joe Burrow or a stationary target that has been Roethlisberger or Lamar Jackson and his obviously electrifying running ability, although he's only 24 years of age. You can give me Josh Allen, who's 25 years of age in Buffalo. And what I'm saying to you is I'm looking at Bill Belichick with an experienced defense that wasn't there last year because 8 to 9 dudes said we don't want to be there because of COVID. And now I'm looking at Matt Judon. He's got 10.5 sacks. Kyle Van Noy, who's no longer in Miami. He's back with New England. He's got 4 sacks. You look at the J.C. Jacksons, the Devin McCourtys, the Adrian Phillips of the world. The list goes on and on and on. When you see the experience and the opportunistic nature with which they play, and then I take into account what cats like yourself and others have preached about for years in terms of how to win in a National Football League. You want to neutralize even a juggernaut. You do 2 things. You defend and you run. You run the football and you have a defense. What does New England have? This kid, Ramondre Stevenson, has come out of nowhere. He's looked really damn good as a first-year player.
Damian Harris.
England. Damian Harris is still there. This cat, Bolden, has been he's caught 27 passes out of the backfield. And I'm looking at a guy in a rookie who's not lights out in terms of a whole bunch of touchdowns. Only thrown about 14 touchdowns.
Doing his job.
8 interceptions. But he's doing his job. And ladies and gentlemen, he's completing 70% of his passes. So when I look at the AFC, that's what makes me look at New England and say,
fair enough. Guess what?
Wow.
Here's the silver lining. They could face each other. Wouldn't we be so thankful for that?